Hey everyone, this is JY with another episode of GamerDad. Today I'll be playing chess, or more specifically, I'll be doing all of the chess checkmate drills on chess.com, starting with the queen checkmate and then ending with the most ridiculously difficult, which is the bishop and knight checkmate. So we'll start here with the queen checkmate. And you can see I've minimized my window so that there's a scroll bar. And the reason I did that is because with the chess.com drills, there's this annoying thing where it'll show the chess engine evaluation plus the moves, but you can't actually hide it. I Googled around and there wasn't any option to hide it, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of doing this on video. So that's why everything's minimized here. Alright, the purpose of this video is sort of to make it educational, but also hopefully motivational, because I'm not the world's best chess player by any stretch of the imagination, and there's better teachers out there, but I'm hoping that if a bad chess player like me can learn how to do all of the checkmates, then it'll encourage everyone else to be able to do it. And also I want to record this for posterity to show that I was able to do the checkmates at some point. So yeah, I will be kind of going over my thought processes as I make these moves. But this definitely won't be the most optimal checkmating patterns. Like I already know, because I'm talking at the same time, that the queen checkmate, I definitely wasted some moves with the queen. But real quick, kind of general idea what I was trying to do is with the queen, you want to use her to create a prison for the king. And you want to slowly shrink that prison so that he has fewer and fewer squares to go to. The one thing though with the queen is that you don't want to advance her too much. Like for example, if I go here and the king goes there, if I move my queen to this square, then that's stalemate. So you want to kind of leave just want to leave these three squares for the king, and you will avoid the stalemate. And then here I just go checkmate and it's over. Alright, but that one's the easiest one, so no big deal there. Alright, so the next one is the rook checkmate. I definitely struggle with this one in terms of like doing it in the fewest possible moves. I should probably brush up on some tutorials on how to do this really fast. Like, it just gets more complex. I think the right way to do it is, again, you're trying to create a prison, but you're trying to, so the way I do it is I just restrict the king to either the rows or the files. So here I'm going to be restricting him to the files. So for example, king moves backwards, so now I've restricted him down to 3 files. Now I've restricted him down to 2 files. But I think the correct way to do it is to actually advance on the files and rows, but yeah, so I have to burn a waiting move here using the way I'm doing it. King moves back. Now he's on the H file, and now I can use my king to chase him, and the idea is you get the kings in opposition. Alright, so here I'm going to do a waiting move with my rook. So again, if he puts his king in opposition to mine, then it's an instant checkmate with the rook. So now he has to flee to the edge of the board. And now he's forced to put the kings in opposition, and boom, checkmate. Alright, so next one we will do the double bishop. So this one ramps up in difficulty a lot. I actually didn't learn how to do this one until like over a decade after I first learned how to play chess. The idea though is that the double bishop side-by-side formation is super strong. You can see their only weakness is their flanks here. That's the only way the enemy king can get at them, but it would take way too many moves. And because of that, I can use my king to kind of bully the king back to the final edge of the board. And the other idea here is that when you have them side by side, you've kind of cut them off like this. So by swinging my bishop here, I've closed the prison cell a little bit more. And so now I think I can safely do a bishop check here, because I have these squares covered, which will allow me to swing my bishop one square closer, and now boom. Okay, so I have the king to the last file, and now I'll put king and bishop side by side, which is a low budget version of double bishops. And now if I move my bishop here, I've cut off this escape route. And now with the double bishop side by side on the third row, now the king only has these two squares that I can move, which gives me time to leisurely stroll my king over to the side here. Alright, so now I want to make a waiting move and kind of force the king into the corner. He's not going to go willingly, so first I move my bishop back here, which forces the king to this square. Now I take away this square from him with the bishop, and now I use this bishop to take away this square. And now I do one waiting move, so I can move this bishop anywhere. We'll go here. So yeah, the king's blocked off, so now if I do a check, he can only go to the corner, and now we Rolling Thunder bring the other bishop back in for the checkmate. Cool. So now we will go to the final, most ridiculously hard one, the bishop and knight. So they give two versions. The first one is the easier one because the king starts on the edge of the board, and then it's just memorizing the pattern for what to do once the king actually gets trapped on the edge. But this is the real one. So I'll do this one. I'll skip this one because you have to basically solve this one if you do this one. All right, so there's a lot of challenges with this one. I'm actually still not that good at it, and it's definitely a lot harder if I'm talking at the same time. But the idea is, first you want to centralize your pieces. The king can only be checkmated on the same color square as the bishop, but to make your life difficult, your opponent will always go to the opposite corner first, and then from there you have to drive him. But there's a sequence of moves that you can do to drive him over there called the W method or something like that, which I'll show. And kind of the cool thing about doing all these checkmates is you kind of learn how all the pieces coordinate and such. So actually, like here, like it looks like the king's trying to come in, but if you can see, I'm actually controlling like this 90-degree angle. The king can't actually come in here. It's like a wall of force, a force field, a fortress of power, if you will. So because this part is blocked off, I can then move my king in. Now, the part that I have trouble with though is after setting up the force field, how I kind of trap the king into this corner. So first I'm putting king and bishop side by side as a low budget double bishop, which kind of restricts these squares. And then, yeah, this is the part where I definitely struggle. Centralize the knight. Oh, cool, he made life easy for me. So sometimes the computer does moves that I feel like make life easier, but I'm not sure why they do that. But like if the computer had moved here, or if the computer had moved here, then I would have had to think a little bit more how to kick him back. But now that the enemy king's there, yeah, you want your king on the f6 square or whatever equivalent, c3, f3, or c6. And then from here, I swing my bishop in, so I've locked in the jail, so now he can only go to those squares. So he can only shuffle back and forth between these two. And now I'll move my knight here. And the idea is you want your knight on f7, which will deny the corner for him, and then you can start driving. So now the king has to go there. And now I do a waiting move with my bishop, which forces the king to go there. And now I take away this square from the king. And now I use my knight. So this is the W method. So you want to move your knight kind of like this. And the idea is, now the king will try to escape here. There was a funny story. I think it was on the Lichess tutorial where it actually showed this exact position, because this is like this is like the tricky part where it seems like the king's going to be able to escape here. And I guess there was an international master who had a bishop and knight and didn't know the trick here and ended up with the draw. But yeah, you move your knight here, and now you've cut off these two squares. Okay, actually, so this time the computer made it easy for me, because computer could have tried to, after cutting off these two squares, gone to some of the light squares, but then the idea would be that you would swing your bishop over here to restrict access to these squares. So actually, let me see if I can get the computer to do this. So go back one move, see if he goes. Okay, he won't. Okay, so we'll just go here, block off that square, and now swing my bishop here, block off these squares. I'll move my king further in, and now I block off this square again. And then we'll move my knight here, part of the W method. And then so now the king's trying to move backwards, but you see here I've got this force field. And so if I check with my knight, then that's actually forcing the king to go here. And now because of this, the king couldn't escape. So now he's trapped there. And now I use my bishop to seal off this square permanently. So now everything's blocked. And now he's trying to escape down here, but got my knight and my king covering these escape squares. So sucks to be the computer. Alright, so now I will swing my bishop in. And now king is trapped on these two squares. Now the only thing that you want to avoid here is stalemating. So there's different sequence of moves so you can checkmate with either the knight or the bishop. In this case, I'll be delivering checkmate with the bishop. Here we go. So we check here, and king only has one move, and checkmate. Okay, so those are all like the basic king and piece checkmates, and yeah, the bishop and knight one is definitely really hard, but if a scrub like me can learn it, then so can you. So I'm hoping you found this slightly motivational and maybe even somewhat educational. Anyways, thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe so I can get 1 million subscribers and retire on a tropical island someday. Thanks.